Good morning, everyone. Hello. I was just live streaming on YouTube, so how's everyone doing? It's very early for me, so I'm still waking up. I have a very special guest today that you've already met if you were in our previous session for housing. Um, and for those that are new, let me just look the names really quickly. I feel like I remember the names now, but for those that are new, hello, my name is PJ. I'm the Assistant Director for Strategic Communications and Recruitment here at KIC. And I've been doing all of the pre-arrival webinars, so I feel like you guys already kind of know me. For those that did not meet Amal last time, Amal, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amal. I work as a Maverick Global Ambassador with Kearney International Center. And I will be your friendo who's going to go through everything with you and share my experiences.
Yeah. How's the weather looking for you, Amal, right now?
Looking out the window, it's not, I don't want to say very, but snowy. The first time I experienced snow having a car. So,
Do you drive yet?
yesterday night.
How is it?
Um, my door didn't want to open for some minutes.
Frozen, yeah. We had our first snow yesterday. For those that are watching right now, we had our first snow. No, wait, it was the day before, right? No, it was yesterday.
Yeah.
It was pretty heavy snow, but not a lot. There's not a lot, but also like it was a significant amount of snow. So we've all kind of been, there's some people that are very excited that it's snowing, and then there's people like Amal and me where we're like, okay, snow.
Yes, we like the weather until it's maybe Christmas and then we're over it.
Yeah. So for those that are traveling in, please make sure you are bringing a decent amount of proper clothing, like a good jacket, gloves, beanies. Those are going to be extremely important for people that are coming in the spring. Um, Very important. I'm just looking at and making sure. Yeah, so this is going to be your reminder to pack your winter stuff. For sure. I mean, you'll be able to purchase a lot of them here anyway, but just make sure you have a decent amount of like clothes so that you're not freezing at the airport when you get off at MSP International Airport. But today we are kind of following that trend. We're going to be talking about traveling to Mankato and what you need to know. I will have them all chime in every now and then, um, but it should be a pretty straightforward session so far in terms of what we recommend you do when you're flying in. So I'm gonna share my screen really quickly. I'm gonna put Amal's name on here as well. I haven't driven in the snow yet since it started snowing, so I'm like bracing myself at the time at the moment. My car is like covered in snow and I haven't like cleaned it up yet. That's why. All right. Yay, you have your visa and you are on your way to Mankato. Yay, very exciting. I don't sound excited because I'm tired and I'm still waking up, but I am very excited to meet all of you guys in person, I promise. And today we're going to go over what to expect at the airport, first of all, at border control. And then moving forward, a question that a lot of students have is, oh, can I just take Uber to Mankato? One big thing to remember is that the MSP International Airport is an hour and a half away from Mankato. So Mankato is like an hour and a half south from the airport. And so if you were to take Uber, it would be extremely expensive. We'll get to that in a bit. But we're not very close to the airport, which honestly is fine for me. Um, but just to let you guys know, if you haven't looked at it in the map yet, I would recommend looking at the map really quickly. All right. So three things on the agenda today. airports, Customs and Border Patrol, so immigration, travel to Mankato. Let's start with airports. I've already mentioned it earlier, but Minneapolis, St. Paul. Oh, I'm hopeful that you guys can hear me okay. Let me just make sure. Okay. MSP Minneapolis St. Paul is the nearest large airport to Mankato. All international arrivals are in Terminal 1. And so that's something you're going to want to remember once we get to where we select your Atlantic bus shuttle. So we'll get to that in just a second. One important thing I do want to tell you guys is there's no smoking allowed at the airport. Please don't vape. Please don't smoke indoors. I know in some countries it's normal, and it's like okay, but in the US, you're not allowed to smoke at the airport. You're only allowed at designated places outside. So if that's something that you're thinking about, please do remember that. And as always, all questions um, need to be submitted in the Q&A. I know we already have a question here, but again, MSB is the largest airport that you would be flying into. There is no airport in Mankato. Few things that you want to remember. If you were in my visa prep sessions that I've done in the past, you know I love talking about the little document to carry in the folder to carry all of your documents in. This is going to come really handy when you do fly in and go through Customs and Border Patrol. That's where you're going to, so once you get off the plane, you're going to line up at Border Patrol, you're going to meet with an agent, and then they're going to send you in. So a few things to remember to pack in your carry-on as you're getting ready to head to Border Patrol. Your passport, obviously, with your visa on it. Make sure you have your I-20 signed and printed, like printed, signed, dated with you in the folder so that if the agent asks, you can just hand it to them. Financial affidavit and bank statement, so copies of any financial documents you might have. It's not very common for them to ask for you to show this, but it's always a really good idea to have it on hand with you so that if they ask, you just have it and you just present it. And obviously your admissions letter, you know where to find your admissions letter when you first submitted your application and you were given access to a dashboard. That's where your admissions letter is if you were still curious. So make sure you have that printed as well.
I
I'm
want
all
to
have any
highlight this
advice,
as well.
go for it.
Yes, that's exactly the part that I want to highlight. And put a significant stress here. You need to print the I-20, sign it, and have it in your hands. Do not put it in your luggage. Do not carry it in your phone because documents in the phone cannot be, um, they might not allow or count them as valid if you just show them the documents from your phone. They need to look at the signed by you and your designated advisor who already has their signature there on paper. Because in my experience, I didn't do this. I almost got in trouble. Do not do this. So print it, have it in your hands at all times once you arrive to USA.
Tell me more. What do you mean by you almost got in trouble?
Um, well, when I was coming there,
Mm.
I had it all in my phone because I thought that's the best way to have it. I did print them, but I did put them in the luggage because I wasn't sure when exactly I'm getting checked. So I was thinking, well, maybe that's the university thing. The border control wasn't had to check everything and they asked me to show my SEVIS, which I had, and I was showing them the SEVIS confirmation that I had paid, which was not something they expected. So they wanted to double check me, and I had to go to like border control, sit there for a few hours before we realized that what they were referring as SEVIS was I-20, and that I-20 from the phone is not a valid thing. They needed to print it. But because I had the signature there, they were open for accepting this. So
So what did we learn, students? Just make sure you have it printed. Amal's example is a great, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but this is a good reminder for you guys to make sure you have all of your documents on hand. And that's also one of the main reasons why we do these pre-arrival webinars is we get to learn about these experiences and then also like can remind you guys to be like, hey, we don't want you to be like rejected at border patrol. So just be prepared. Again, don't put things in your checked luggage because your checked luggage you won't be able to get your checked luggage until after. So another question that I do tend to get a lot is what questions are they going to ask at Border Patrol? During my experience, personally, they only asked me, I think, 3 questions, if I recall. It was very quick for me. My port of entry was Chicago, O'Hare, Chicago. And so my check-in went really quickly. But I remember some of the questions that they asked me were, well, what's your major? What's the name of your university? Um, and the other question that they'll ask is, what's the purpose of your visit? What do you say when they ask, what's the purpose of your visit?
You say studying.
Education, you're here to study. That's what your F1 visa is for, is a non-immigrant visa that's issued to you for a specific purpose that is to study. So if they ask you that question, don't say, oh, I'm gonna work. I'm gonna find work outside. I'm gonna, stay in the country. None of those are good answers. Always answer with, you're here to study, which is exactly what you're here to do. How long do you plan to study? Now that is going to depend on your program and how long it takes to graduate. For me, it was a 4-year program. And if you have the means to support yourself financially. So if they ask, who's your sponsor? Who's sponsoring you? Answer them truthfully, answer them exactly how you answer to us when you apply to our university. So again, I'm just reiterating and explaining things I've already said during the visa prep session, but these are again still that you're things that you're going to need to know as you're prepping for your visit here. Do you remember any other questions they might have asked you, Amal?
I was thinking about it, but it's generally the same as your experience. They asked me the name of the university, the start and end date on I-20, which makes it important to look at I-20. Um, I think they also asked me my major, just as you, and mm, I think that was it. I had a few times because I was traveling back and forth. A few times I had some chatty passport control officers who were asking me if I bring any pies with my, from my grandma or mama, and if I'm willing to share with them, or something like, well, tell me more about your country because I'm really interested. But that's so individual. That's more like whatever officer you get.
Yeah. And sometimes, in some scenarios, you might get pulled aside for secondary screening, which can seem extremely scary and you'll probably be very nervous. However, the best thing to remember is to stay calm and to make sure you have your documents ready. It's I haven't heard of many people that have been sent to secondary screening, at least in my circle of friends. But I know that it does happen sometimes, and it doesn't mean it like anything's bad. I know, I remember.
That,
Amal has a story to share.
oh
This is
no,
has been,
no.
yeah, you can go ahead and tell them.
It's not a story. It was exactly that secondary screening that I had to sit at for my SAVIS, which meant I-20.
How long were you there for?
I think I sat there for an hour and a half.
Mhm. So that can happen sometimes. Sometimes if they're not able to verify you in the system for some reason, they might take you for secondary screening, but that's where we come into place. So I'll show you a couple numbers on the screen later in just a second where you might be able to, yeah, where you will be able to reach out and have them confirm. So I'm going to quickly get, um, all right, if anybody has any other questions, please leave it in the chat. All right, here's some information, and numbers. You might want to take a picture of this. So go ahead and take a screenshot, take a picture on your phone. These are going to be important numbers. Also remember that, we are only open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The office, the front
Central
desks, that's
Time.
the only time they're going to be able to respond to you. What did you say, Amal?
Central Time in the US.
Control time. Some other things to remember is in the border and Customs and Border Patrol baggage claim area, dogs will be present in most areas and customs. Um, they're very cute. They will be very cute to look at, and you might be tempted to go and pet them. Please don't do that. They're on duty. So you're not supposed to go and pet them, especially when they're working. I was actually at an airport a few months ago. I think it was the Vegas airport. And they actually had a big dog. Her name was Bailey, but she was off duty. And she actually had a sign that said, like, pet me. And so we went and pet her, and she was such a good girl, and she was so big and so pretty and so precious. But usually you're not supposed to pet those dogs. They're working, hard working, they're earning their bread. So if you see them, don't stress unless you have something like suspicious in your baggage. You shouldn't be scared. And the dogs are searching for food, large sums of money, and or drugs. They are very well trained dogs, so don't be afraid of them, but don't pet or ask to pet the dogs. Unless you specifically see a tag like I did that said pet me, then you can like be like, oh, can I pet them? But she was off duty. That's the only reason why. If they approach you, wait for the officers that's with the dog to tell you what to do. Don't panic. Don't start running away because that's suspicious. Just stay in place. Sometimes they'll also make you walk across a hallway while the dog's like walking across the room, and they'll tell you to just keep walking straight. And that's sometimes something they do before check-in at the airport as well. I know MSP sometimes does that in the mornings. They'll have a special dog there, and then they'll just make you walk across the hall before you go into line for check-in. Um, but they'll give you instructions on exactly what to do. So if they approach you, wait for the officer to tell you what to do. Do you have anything else to add, Amal?
Oh, yes. I'll highlight that the dogs are not only searching for something suspicious, they do search for specific foods.
Mhm.
So if you are a lover of taking fruits with you on the airport and having them, dogs can smell that, and you will probably spend some additional time in checking the baggage just because of the fruits. Because I had that experience when I was coming from UK back to, I think it was MSP, where a dog approached me, and I was thinking, oh, that's such a cute dog, and I was almost petting it until I saw an officer with it who was searching for. I was eating oranges in the plane, and oranges have a very prominent smell, and I hadn't had any oranges with me, but because they smelled it, they asked me to check the baggage, so I had to do an additional round. But there's nothing scary. So this is just happening because US has specific policies and regulations on um, agricultural part of what you're bringing in.
Yeah, always make sure you check the US import list on like what you can and cannot bring as well. You don't want to bring something that you're not supposed to. Like you can't bring seeds, you can't bring like dry meat. There's a lot of things that you're not supposed to bring on the flight with you, whether it's in your carry-on or your checked bag. And so if they find it, they're either going to chuck it out or they're going to have questions for you. They'll pull you aside and be like, what is this? Oh, why'd you bring it in? So be very mindful. I know like back home, our parents are going to be like, oh, it's not a big deal. Just put it in your check bag. It's going to be fine. You gotta be very careful about that. Because you don't want to have to like get in trouble for that. So always check what's relevant to bring and all the fun stuff. All right, so your past border patrol. Yay, congratulations. Step one out of the way. What next? Now you're actually going to travel to Mankato. The one thing, if you don't have friends here that are going to pick you up, the one service that we recommend, highly recommend, is the Land to Air Express. It's a shuttle that picks you directly up from the airport, and then they directly drop you off on campus, and it's approximately an hour and a half to 2 hour trip. Um, because it's an hour and a half away from, like, Mankato is an hour and a half away from the airport. If you take taxi, Uber, Lyft, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and we do not recommend doing that. So Land to Air Express runs really early in the morning until very late at night. I will leave the link for that actually right now in this. Actually, Amal, could you add that link on the chat for everybody to look at in case you guys have not booked Land to Air yet? I know some of you guys have already done that, which is awesome. I know that some of you guys have been very, very proactive with everything else, but for those that don't know, this is the shuttle that I recommend. Please book in advance. They do have a limited availability, especially during the time that you guys would be coming in. A lot of other international students, a lot of other domestic students are also coming in, and so it is first come, first serve. So you should book it. If you already have your flight details and you know when you're getting off, book it right away. Is my background too loud? Okay, good. So that is all I have for you. Actually, thank you for sharing that. That went to just hosts. Let me do that.
Yeah, I don't have an option to send it to everyone for some reason.
Maybe I did give you permission for that. I'm sorry. I have that in the chat for you right now. And it'll also tell you exactly where you need to drop it off, or where they drop you off and everything. So just go ahead and check that link. We have a question. What if I have to go to my out-of-campus housing from the airport? And will I have to go to the university first after I reach the USA? So we usually have drivers in Mankato, which are students. So that information will be out on the international portal. So the KIC portal, I will be updating our website with all the orientation, whatever's been confirmed. I will update our website, our Teradata, so the KIC portal and our website with the schedule, so the orientation schedule. And I'll also put in information about our drivers in Mankato. These are students, so please remember to be patient and also be nice to them. Um, they're doing all of this to help you guys. So I also want you guys to remember that they're taking the time out of their busy schedules to help you guys. So these students will be available at a certain time. Again, I'll update our website with that information, and they will be able to take you from on campus to wherever you live. So they'll drop you off. Again, they're only going to be operating at certain hours, and all of that information will be updated on the KIC portal. But they will be available for you. I will double check what dates they start operating so you kind of have a good sense of what to do. Otherwise, if you're already in Mankato, and you're living off campus and you're not able to get a driver, that's completely fine to find Uber or Lyft, as it's not going to cost you as much as driving from the airport to Mankato. I know this is a part of the topic, but can I take food? Yes, you actually can. What did I do? Well, you want to say they have a little like a to-go box. It's five
Yeah,
dollars.
yeah, I'm sorry I answered that right when you started reading the question. Um,
Oh, go for
but
it.
yeah, you can take your food because actually at the entrance of the dining center, they offer the lunch boxes, which actually don't cost you anything. You just pay $5 to take it, but then once you return it, they return your $5 back to account where from which you paid for the lunchbox. So yes, you can. They do have, however, some rules on what exactly you can or cannot do. So you can't take a lunchbox and stay in the dining center to eat. You can eat and then take a lunchbox to take the rest, though. Uh,
Someone said, are boxes different for vegetarian and non-vegetarian, or can I pack from my own box? So they will give you a box that you would have to pack in. It's like a green box, and it doesn't matter if it's veg or non-veg, everybody gets the same box container. And so you check that in when you check in, you ask them to give you one, and then you take that in and you fill it up with whatever you need to fill it up, and you take it outside. Once you return that box, you get that $5 back, but it's up to you.
yeah, you choose your own food, so um,
It is like
you
a buffet style, so
yeah, you can find vegetarian options.
yeah. And you have other, if you have other dietary restrictions too, they have halal options as well. Just make sure you check the website if you need to order in advance. But they do have halal options, and they had vegetarian options. Can I go in the city from Stadium Height with buses? So you can take the same land to air shuttle back from Mankato to MSP. So we know someone that we work with, Udai, who is a also a social media maverick global, and he goes to the cities, I feel like every weekend, and he takes the shuttle from, so the shuttle picks you up from MSU, so the university, and then from there it takes you to the airport. But Udai that works with us takes the shuttle and then he comes back every night. So that's something you can also do. It's a fun experience. I used to do that when I didn't have a car and I was still an undergraduate student, and honestly, it worked just fine for me. So, will the university have to be my first stop after the airport, no matter what day or time I reach? Amal, you want to answer that?
Sure. So if you're living on campus, they do have specific times where you can check in. So if you're coming late or super early, make sure you write to Residential Life that you will arrive at a specific time so they can provide accommodations for you at the given time or instructions on how you can reach your room. Um, the next thing is if you're living off campus, university doesn't have to be your first stop because when I arrived here, I didn't immediately go to the university. I arrived a little bit earlier than the orientation started, and I had someone here who I knew, who is a close friend of my family. So I stayed there for some time, explored the city. I did go to malls and shops and bought different things for my future room. And then I checked in for the room in the residential halls, and then I went to orientation to go through um, everything that we have prepared for you.
This is such a random thing, but your skin's like glowing. It looks really nice.
It's because of the window. I'm like right in front of it.
Glowing. It looks like you have highlighter on. Sorry, it's like completely beyond. Yeah, it does look like you have highlight on. It looks nice. I thought
Beautiful.
we could quickly go over what the Land to Air website looks like, as Amal's kind of explained already. So this is the Land to Air website. I literally just put Land to Air. And as you can see, it's a shuttle service, airport shuttle service in Mankato, Minnesota. So we know it's the right one. I'm gonna go on here. And this is where you book your flight. More likely than not, you're going to be departing, obviously. So you're going to be at the MSP airport. Make sure you check your ticket and see which airport you're coming off at. Most likely it's going to be Terminal 1, but always check your ticket to make sure you get to the right one. And then here you're going to put Mankato. As you can see, there are a bunch of stops that they do make, but you're not going to Missouri. So just put Mankato. MNSU. So there's two options when you do Mankato, the depot or MNSU, which is our university you want to do. Our university because the depot is almost close to downtown, and then you're gonna have to get a ride from there to wherever you are. So Mankato, I'm gonna look at since I'm gonna do December, maybe 20th. All right, see, boom, all of the shuttles that are departing on the 20th, they start, looks like they're going to be very early, bright and early. They leave at 5:15 and their shuttles all the way until 9:30. As you can see, the prices do vary. So there's some that are like $15. So you can get the shuttle for as low as $11. I've seen some that are $11, you guys. So some of them are more expensive, but it looks like it's probably because it's literally around holiday season because it's Christmas time. So people are traveling in and out, but depending on what time you get off, keep in mind you're also going to have to remember that if you haven't gone through Border Patrol yet, so you got to account for those times and then what time you get off. If you're like getting off really late at a time where there's no shuttle and you're like, oh, maybe I should just get Lent Air. I mean, maybe I should just get Uber. The other thing you can do is just find a place in the cities, like a hotel to stay at for the night. And then these hotels will have a shuttle that'll take you back to the airport so that you can get on a shuttle. Did that make sense, Amal? Yeah, so we can just book these. And however you paid for your admissions, like application fee, you're going to check out as a guest, your name, your phone number. And once you hit continue, it will ask you to put in your credit card details. Um, but it's a very straightforward process. And Amal's already left that link in the chat for you guys, so make sure you look at it. Make sure you look at the dates. Some dates might be less available than other dates because, again, they have limited availability, so some of it might already be filled. Like Christmas, see, there's no shuttles left, so be careful and check what days you're coming in. I know someone had asked about if we had, so we do have a Student Association of India. If you wanted to reach out to them, you absolutely can. Let me, are you typing the answer, Amal? Okay. So somebody said, I thought we had an open question, but I can't see it.
I think I already replied that one. If you're talking about in India, it's
Oh, okay.
answered.
Thank you. There, see, that's what I'm all
But
on top of
yes,
it.
there is an internal website with a list of recognized student organizations, which are kind of like clubs. And you will access them once you're here, once you're registered, once you have all the things figured out. You can join many, many, many communities. We have over 200 different RSOs. And in addition to that, you will meet a lot of international and people from India at the orientation, hopefully. Because the actual story, me and Udai met 3 years ago at the orientation, and to this day we're still friends, which is why we love orientation.
Yeah, orientation is going to be a great time for you to meet with people. I think, I mean, I'm still friends with people I met during orientation, and that was like what, 8 years ago. And so orientation is a great time to connect with people from other countries, other backgrounds. Always remember to have an open mind as you're coming into orientation because you're meeting so many people from so many different backgrounds. Everyone's going to have probably a very different perspective on things. And it's always very important that you're being respectful and you're being open-minded to learning about their cultures as you're sharing yours. Um, but I think that's basically all of what we had today. You guys had very great questions, so really thank you for those. I'm going to check YouTube really quickly and just make sure that we don't have any questions on there. So give me a quick second. For students that are coming in so soon, do you have, oh, actually, we do have a question on YouTube from Om. Hey guys, I have a kind of off-topic question. Okay. When I was filling out the form for a dorm room, it asked for my preference. Which room would you recommend for me to get that's budget friendly? There are many options.
I'll chime in here.
Mhm.
So if you want a nice room, and you want it to be budget friendly, it depends on your preference also. If you want to have a single room where you and only you are living, um, then this would be probably some renovated room in Prescott or Kirk, um, Crawford. So that's at least what I liked. You can like McElroy or Julius Sears too, but I know that Julius Sears have they have higher rates. If you do, if you're okay with living with someone, then pretty much any room, especially when it's renovated doubles, are good in every dorm. I know the most inexpensive ones are probably McElroy, so you can pick that. But I was living in Julius Sears and absolutely loved my rooms. I had single suite, which also has their own like a bathroom and a toilet, not a community one. So pick it out.
Yeah, that's a great point. And ultimately, it depends on, again, your budget, and you've mentioned you have a specific budget in mind. So just go ahead and check the rates on the website that's available and compare and contrast what would best fit your budget. Is there a shuttle service for students living off campus to and from the university? That's a great question, Krish. We do. We have a bus service called the Stomper, which is also our mascot, so don't get them confused. But you'll see buses that run, um, they run very early from 6 in the morning until pretty late at night. And so you just need your student ID card, so your MAV card with you. And when you get on the bus in Mankato, you just show them this and you don't have to pay the bus fare. And that bus does take you to a lot of off-campus housing. Just make sure you check the routes. And then they also take you to Walmart, grocery stores, they take you to the mall. So there's a lot of, we do have that service available. Are rooms in Stadium Heights 3-bedroom apartments available? That's a great question. I would reach out to the residential life and check in for availability with them. We don't have access to that system, and so we're not able to tell you what's available and what's not available. Reach out to residential life and get an answer from them. Will I receive my math card upon arrival? Yes, depending on when you get in. I mean, during orientation, our peer mentors and Amal's also most likely maybe will be there. But we'll have peer mentors here to help you get your math card. So they'll take you to the math card office. You'll get your math card. If you get here earlier than that and the office is open, you can always go in and get your math card done then too. I remember for my orientation, I got my math card way before orientation, because I just wanted that with me. So, and it's very easy office to find, and there's people on campus that are very willing to help you. So if you're on campus and you're lost and you see someone, just ask for help. It's completely okay. We're very nice.
That reminds me of a thing. Um, you know, one little quick fact about me, I'm an introvert. I don't like to talk. I'm super shy. Um, super shy. But since we were talking about arrival and we were talking about airports, we were talking about buses, we were talking about so many things where you can get lost geographically and physically and just not make it on time. Um, make sure you approach people. Make sure you find someone in a uniform in a different area, or maybe not only in a uniform if you're in the university, and ask them your questions. Ask them, hey, I am searching for luggage. Where could I find my luggage? And they will direct you. And this is going to be so much easier because I could be lost in an airport so many times if not asking the questions. So please Please, please ask questions. Ask a million questions if you want. There's no stupid question. Never. It's rather to ask than to get lost in an airport and not make it to the university or anywhere else, you know?
Mhm. Also at the airport, you'll also see help desks. So you can also run to them and be like, hey, I'm looking for where the shuttle is, where the shuttle comes. I don't know where it is, and they'll tell you where everything is. So it's okay to ask for help. Any questions about placements, testing and stuff? If you are going to get your scores on the 20th of December, you can always bring those scores with you. I mean, send those scores to us, and then you can meet with somebody during orientation and go over that with them. All right, we are way above our time today. Um, I think you guys had very good questions, and I'm very happy that you guys could join us today. We have a final visa prep session and then another tuition webinar. And finally, we have an orientation overview. So I highly recommend definitely being there for the orientation overview and all the other ones, but the orientation overview is going to be very important because we're going to have someone from their retention team that's been working hands on deck on creating that perfect orientation schedule for you present, and they'll be able to tell you exactly what to expect, what to bring, what to expect after orientation. So that is going to be on the 30th of December, and hopefully you guys have all signed up for it already. I will also be there, so I'm very excited to meet you guys on that. Um, but yeah, Amal, any last tips for the students coming in? For me, it's just make sure you're dressed warm. You don't want to be stuck outside in the cold. Just make sure you have like a jacket, hoodie, things to cover your ears, your hands. You don't want frostbite.
That's a good advice. And I think, BJ, you covered everything.
Yeah.
Ask questions, maintain positive attitude, get warm clothes, and make sure to attend orientation overview because that will save you a ton of time if you know what's gonna happen.
I'm going to quickly share the orientation dates again one last time because I feel like a lot of times, all right, I'm sharing this one last time. That's a lie. I will share it again another time. But attendance is mandatory. You can't just skip orientation. The orientation is going to be January 6th through the 10th. You must arrive in Mankato on or before January 5th. And the first day you may enter the US is December 7th, 2024. And as always, it's a shameless plug for our Instagram and our TikTok. It's KICMNSU. Amal is the lead for our social media team, and Amal posts a lot of great content. Yeah. And I'm hopeful that we can do more content with all of you incoming students during orientation as well. I'm like cooking things up here. But we will see you so very soon, and I'll see you in our next webinar. Bye.